Okay. Is there sound now? Yes. Do we have sound? Okay. Great. Hey, I'm totally new with streaming. So bad. Anyways, I'm Thomas from X Electronics, and today I'm showing you some stuff about the new Dualchord expander for the NerdSEQ. And let me, yeah, better. Um, and something about new firmware, some things. So I didn't really prepare any presets or source, but I will walk you through the things, and maybe something nice will come out of that. So let's get to that one. So this is the block schematic of the dual chord expander, and so you probably read already. It's 2x a 4-voice oscillator with some nice features. So let's start with the basic sound block, and that we have here for each oscillator. We got 4 different waveforms, which can be independently mixed together. So it's a sawtooth, triangle, sine, and pulse. And for the pulse, we also got a PWM control. So each oscillator can be controlled by pitch, fine pitch, and glide. So, and this we got 4 times per output. And those are mixed together, and that comes up to 4 different oscillator. Yeah, I wouldn't say voice, but oscillator outputs, and each runs 4 waveforms. So, yes, that. This engine is 2 times for each output. So one output got 4 oscillators, and the other output got also 4 oscillators, and they run independent, but you can combine them with some stereo features. Then we have 4 knobs. Let's go here, 4 knobs, and which can be free assigned to any functions, and we got 2 trigger gate outputs as well. From the NerdSEQ, you can control a lot of stuff, like the nodes. You can control trigger gate, pitch, fine pitch, amplitude, the glide settings, PWM, morphing of the waveforms. I will get to that. The LFO controls, and more. So there are also 8 LFOs included, and they can be assigned to any function of the oscillator. So to the pitch, to the fine tune, to the amplitude, PWM, NNN. Yeah, we have the 4 knobs. Let's go here. Those can be assigned again to any of these features. For the 4 waveforms, of course, you can freely change the amp of the waveforms themselves, but there are some morph presets where you can fade between the different waveforms in an easy way. And then we have some extra features like cloning one output to the other to get like a stereo dephase field or a detune field. You got an oscillator spread feature, so imagine you play 4 times the same note on one output, and you would detune, fine spread the notes to get a wider sound. Yes, and some chord preset features. Of course, it's dual chord, so there are chords included. Then 2 trigger gate outputs, and they can do everything the local trigger gate outputs can do. All right, let's go to the screen. So we got the NerdSEQ screen here. There's the sequences screen. And by the way, you can ask questions, and from time to time I will go through the chat and try to answer them. Okay, so the Dualchord gets its own track type, just like with the other expanders. And here you just go to track assign, and then you assign it to the Dualchord. I have it now on port NSA port 3, so it's assigned already. If I go into the track, we have these columns available. So in the first place, in the basic situation, you got 4 time node columns for the 4 oscillators for the first output. Then you got a trigger gate output. That's the first one. If you go further to the right, you will get the second set for the second output for the nodes, and again for the trigger gate. That sounds horrible, but it's okay. And the nodes go to the 10th octave, and from them there are also the random nodes. We got also node off, which will stop the oscillator. Yes. Further to the right, we got 3 FX columns with again all the settings available that you can manipulate on the Dualchord, like the mixing of the sawtooth, and each setting is available 4 times, so you could change them from a patch easily, multiple settings at the same time. Yes. The DQ, LFO settings, the clone settings, so everything is in here. And again, the usual stuff that you know already from for the local trigger gate outputs. Talking about probability, for this one, the probability is fixed. You got different probabilities for the first 4 columns, another one for the trigger column, and then for the FX ones. Those are which are available here. Okay, and of course groove and a patch. So, and in the patch we got also all the settings that you can change at the same time. Okay, let's go to the track setup of the Dualchord, which gets you really to all the controls of the Dualchord. Drink. So, okay, from top to here is the same like with the other tracks. You can change the clock of the track, the transpose, the scaling, the trigger delay for the local trigger output, and then the random FX, the same. This one is record play voices. So if you would record from a MIDI device, you can decide if only one oscillator should play or record or multiple ones, if the trigger should be used or not, and if it should record as well node offs. And they are very flexible here. So we have now column 1 plus trigger. So that means it would record only to this one and play only on this oscillator and with the trigger. So if I play it, it would play only on the first oscillator. I think the sound can be a bit louder. If it's too loud, let me know. And of course, they're oscillators, so they keep playing. If I would, for example, you can decide which column should be, so that would be a monophonic way. Then I can decide like, oh, the first three I would use for the MIDI playing, and the fourth can be still used for just sequencing. And if I have all the four, then I can play in a polyphonic way. So is there no sound? Because someone says not hearing anything, Paul. I think it should be fine now. Okay. No sound from the NerdSEQ. I think it's turned on. Do you hear? Yeah. You should hear a chord, I think. Okay, then make it louder. Okay, oh good. Yeah. Okay, so this would use all the four columns to record or play and the trigger gate, so that will fire as well. And then you can choose only 2, 3, 4 and use the first for the bass line and so on. The same for the following columns, you can do that. And there's one power mode where you can use all the 8 oscillators for 8 voice paraphonic playing. And then you would need a mixer to have the two outputs and mix them together. So, okay, let's get back to the monophonic one. So, and this would mean if it would record the note off as well or not. So this is the column setup. So these columns, how they're set up, because if you make a new track, a new dual chord, assign a dual chord track, you probably want to have one with the first output and not always go to the and another one for the second outputs. You don't always want to go to the second screen. So you can change that here. You can say like, okay, it should be output 2, and you can just say like that the first columns should be the second output. Or even you can say like it should all be waveform 1. So all the 4 columns would manipulate the first waveform. Same with the triggers, you can just define which output it should be and if it should be the local track trigger on the NerdSEQ or the one defined trigger. Yeah, we'll keep it like the default settings. Okay, we go further down, and I think I start with the waveforms, waveform setup first. So each waveform, like I said, has its own velocity setting. So 0 to 255. Then its own glide setting. So 4 oscillators, one output, but all can have different glide settings. So gliding to the next note would sound, yeah, nicely. Its own detune setting, plus minus 128. And then you can define the velocity volume of the waveform. So if we let's play it. So pure triangle. Sine. Oh, let's make a little melody. Let's get back. Triangle. Then the sine. Sawtooth. And a pulse. With the pulse we can change. We can change the pulse width. Okay, and these settings, whoop, stop again. So these settings are, you can assign these, change the settings for each waveform itself. To make it a bit more comfortable, for example, you would use always the same waveforms for all the 4 oscillators. You could just lock them to waveform 1, and it would change automatically all the waveforms to the same setting, which oscillator 1 has. So, okay. So we got that for each. Well, go back. We got that for each oscillator here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the same setup for the second output, waveforms 5 to 8. Okay, next we have the knob setup. So you have the 4 knobs, and you can choose every destination assigned to the knob. So like the amplitude of the LFOs, offset, the phase, PWM, fine tune, and then up to each single waveform. But also always all combined together. Let's try it. Okay, let's change that. Let's add the knob, and then we change. Let's say the triangle for all. Okay. Pulse off. And so I changed this now with the knob. So the knobs and all the settings in a Dualchord are generated there. So if I turn the knob, you can't really see it in the NerdSEQ itself. Whoops. Okay. So, and then we got 8 LFOs, and each LFOs can be assigned to any destination again. Stereo deepness, I'll get back to that. The waveform PWM, and let's give it a try. So we make it pulse again. And let's add it to the. So that's and the LFOs can be synchronized to the NerdSEQ. So that means this LFO would run 16 steps. So when you start it, the whole waveform of the LFO, which is a triangle waveform actually, takes 16 steps or and less. And then from there, even two multiple per step, and then free running. And you can assign all these settings also to the knobs again. Then you can change the amplitude of the LFO, how much it should be. For example, you would it set to fine pitch, and you get a nice slight vibrato. You can change the offset, so of the LFO. So depending on your sweet spot, you can have the LFO run around the sweet spot. And the phase where the LFO should start, so that it starts from the 0 position or for somewhere within this wave. I got a question, is it possible to change the wave settings by using FX commands? Yes, everything can be changed by FX commands or from the mappings. So yes, everything can be changed. Okay, we got 8 LFOs. Okay, and then let's get to the fine tune of the L. Okay, the nice, let's change those again. Let's start the second oscillator as well. And fine tune to our. Okay, another setting I get now back to the modes. So, for example, here I play 4 at the same time. I can change the detune spread of all the 4 oscillators. So if I play this part now. So makes it the sound wider than normally. Okay, so we got then we get to the morph waves. There you can change different. Let's put it down. So imagine this. So you have on the left side you have the sawtooth, and on the right side of the knob or something you got a pulse wave. And the amount, the left side is 0, and the right side is 255. So now would be a pulse wave, and they are like morph to the sawtooth. And there are all kind of settings from each wave to each waveform, 2 times 3 and up to 4. Now we have the sine. We get to the triangle. And to the pulse. And of course, let's add that one to the LFO. Now it runs through all the waveforms. And if we would have a scope now, you could see it nicely, because I got a little scope here, and it, you can see like the waveforms nicely changing. Okay, so that's the morph waves. Of course, that's available for also the second audio part. We get that back. Okay. Okay, and of course, with the knobs, you can also manipulate the LFO settings, so you can change the speed of the LFO with your knobs or whatever. Okay, and then we got the mode, part 1 mode. So for the first part, or for the first output. Now it's normal mode. So that means 4 independent oscillators. And okay, change a bit the melody. So first is 4-time note. So that means I only have to fill in 1 note, and it will play it on all the 4 oscillators. And of course, so that's also that works also from if you play it from the external source, it would also automatically use all 4 the oscillators. I go through some of the settings of the part modes because they're nice. So that's for 2 notes. Let's go to that. So that would be the same note, just like the first one would be played the note normally, the second one 1 octave lower, the third one 1 octave higher, and the last one again on the normally. Let's turn it off again. Oh, we can leave it. Okay, the next one. So the next one would be again, we'll play it here normally, then 2 octaves lower, 1 octave lower, and 1 octave higher. And let's put it. So 2 times means just 2 oscillators, but I get to the 4 times. So that would be a 5th. Of course, if I play them. works also from external. Then the seventh. And then we have a lot of preset chords, minor, second. So that those are, let's get to the three ones. And I have 4 oscillators. And so on. 6. Just keep in mind, there is no filter added now or anything. This is pure the sound out of the Dualchord for now. Okay. And there are some added. This is like a 3-tone chord, but I used for the 4th oscillators the same note as the first note, and then you can get a bit bigger sounds with the D-tone spread. Okay, so there are lots of chords in there for easy playing. But of course, you can create your own chords. That's of course multi-octave chords as well. Okay, we had the part mode. Yes, we had the oscillators. Of course, I can record from MIDI, and then I can go to the MIDI. So I don't really explain to which screens I go, because it's not a tutorial of the NerdSEQ itself. So, but here I have the multi-IO expander, host channel 3, and connected via USB, just a simple MIDI keyboard. And I set it to track 1 record. So that means the first track will be used to record MIDI if record is enabled. Let's make it a 16-step track, and then enable record. Now, let's go there first to the setting, destination, and then I say let's go back here. All the 4 columns and the trigger should be recorded. Okay. If I press record now, then can. And I got the note of turned off now. Record again. Press the table button to. I'm a terrible keyboard player, so. Anyways, It works. So you can play it a bit like a polyphonically, but it's paraphonic. Let's delete that again, which is a nice new shortcut actually. We go back to, you just press Shift, Mark, Delete, and it will delete the pattern directly or clear the pattern. Okay, what's next? With those, we have the destination. That's fine. Okay, let's go stereo. So, of course, the same thing for the second output. And I just change my where's the cable? Cable 1, cable 2, okay. It should be stereo now. Let's try it. Yes. We are stereo. Let's get to the stereo functions. Okay, a simple bass line. Okay. I have the setting clone output 1 to output 2. And there I have the dephase settings. So the first output, the second output would be dephased from the first output. So you hear a bit the next one would be the detune part. Let's change it back. So if you use a headphone, you would hear it a bit floating around now. So that means also the first column will be automatically played on the second part as well. And of course, the detune settings can be changed from the knobs, from the LFOs, and so on. Okay, I think it's time to let's leave it with detune. So let's get it back to the normal settings. Also the second one. Okay, question. Martin, the new firmware is coming out soon. But believe me, the current firmware, you will be busy for a month with it anyway. So this is, yeah, new stuff. And this is the Dualchord expander that you hear right now. Okay, let's add a filter for fun. Have to change the pitch for that. Second. I have to filter, so I have an envelope connected to the first trigger output, and both audio outputs, dual filter, and the dual dagger from Shakmat Audio as a stereo filter. If I add now, let's add. Okay, that I can show you directly a nice new function. Can show it the best here. So this is simple. This is a pattern, and it works without pattern tags. I just mark the value. So you can change marked parts all together with a shortcut. So it's Shift OK, left right for semitone, up down for octave. And of course that works also just works also with that one. Another new function is you can choose, you can mark a part, Shift OK, and then with the up and down buttons, like not a cursor but a page up, page down, you can move. You can move the part that you had and to probably fit in. Everything else will move up or down depending on that. Okay, so that's the filter. Edit with that. And of course, let's delete that again. So that's 2 times ratcheting. Put and so on. They're all there in there. Okay, so that's with the filter added, and of course, depending on your setup, you can make it sound totally different, and a bit like an old 80s analog synth. But yes, they're digital oscillators, and with analog filters right now. Okay, So I think I told you the basics of the Dualchord, and yeah, with experimenting, I get let's edit, let's make a drone, like a bit of droney thing. I think I put the volume a bit down so it doesn't hurt your ears. First, let's do a bit detune. Stereo is still enabled. Yes. Fine tune to one waveform. Oh yeah, of course. I forgot the glide settings. Let's do some glides. Octave down. 16 steps. So these it's changing the glide settings for all four of the oscillators because I still have to plot together. And of course, two really slow glides if you want to. Okay. So we had that. We have the trigger outputs. We added a filter now in the last bits, and we did some droney stuff. And of course, it can go totally crazy. Change PWM here for one of the waveform and fine pitch for another waveform. And the waveforms, and it can go really human, really smooth and stuff. Okay, so I think that was basically what a NerdSEQ can do, and there's more stuff, I'm sure, that I forgot now. If you got some questions about it now, let me know. Else I will show you some stuff of the new firmware. Okay. I see one gate output prefer notes. So paraphonic, yes, it's paraphonic. Or if you use both outputs, it can be dualphonic as well. So, but then that's preference. I think so. Just a little bit of history here. The Dualchord, I started developing on it already in 2018 when I made the trigger expanders and the CV expanders. And at some point I made also a CV and trigger combined expander that I never released. And it has like 2 times 3 CV and 1 gate outputs. And so that was nice, but I didn't have a good oscillator there, like a triple oscillator. It didn't work really well. So I thought like, oh yeah, why not making oscillators then? So that's when this started. And I'm playing myself live with it already since 2018 as well. So it's back then I had already like a proof of concept thing which was working. But then a lot of stuff came in between and a lot of firmware updates and stuff. So that's why it took much longer than I wanted to. But then it's there now, it works, and a lot of more stuff have been added than I planned in the first place. Okay, if you got questions about the Dualchord, let me know now, so we can get to that. And I will meanwhile show you some stuff of the new firmware. Okay, first thing, for a MIDI track, I will assign a MIDI track. So this is track 2 and make a new pattern. So for monophonic MIDI synthesizers, you could do now add a slide or glide setting if the synthesizer supports it. So you could do this, and instead of the velocity, you press Shift OK, and you get to the slide setting. So it will change. Normally you would change, it would stop the old note and start the new note from here. But if the slide setting is turned on, it will do the opposite. So it will first play the new note and then stop the old note. And that's a typical thing for many monophonic synthesizers to add the glide function for this one new note. And then you can add like a preset of 10 different velocities to it. And that because I have like just a few digits. That's one thing. Then something, yes, exactly, these speakers. You only need 1 column anymore now, so that's a plus. Okay, another thing which has been requested by some people. I don't use it because I'm really used to the sharp note names. So you can change the note view to flat. And if I go into the notes now, you can see A flat, B flat, C, D flat. And you can do this per track. So if you want to have the first track, want to get back, the first track flat notes, second track can have sharp notes. So you can set it up. You can choose this or choose this also for scales. So I can change the view to flat, and now we have the flat naming here, like a D flat, E flat, and so on. I'm more sharp guy. So you could choose this per track for the scaling, and for the mapping independently. And it loads saves with the project. So, okay, next. So if you're into the mappings, and I go into the mappings now, I added one thing. So sometimes people would use a CV input or something that would never go down to zero as a low as the lowest voltage. And I added now a threshold setting. So for example, let's go to calculation that doesn't make sense. And so instead of the constant of 9, I added threshold. And you can set the threshold. So just if you make a comparison, if if the left value is higher than the right value, let's do something, then the result is true or valid. And the threshold can be changed in the node menu, and you can just say the value that the threshold should be. So that means for some types, it needs one less calculation. So, and it's something if you're into the mappings, but it can help sometime here and there. So it's just like a preset, and you don't need a variable for that to make a manual threshold, so you don't need that. As you can see, there's also like a small indicator now. So that means like there are two different values involved. Okay, so next is for the skip command. So skip, that means skip one row if the left value is smaller than the right value. And then add more ones. And you could see live directly that the next 3 steps are skipped right now. So that means if 0 is higher or smaller than 5, then skip the next 3 steps. And if now let's say the threshold if the threshold is higher than 5, in that case, skip the next 3 steps. So these steps are skipped. And I get this also now for the destination. Which should show as well that it skips. Okay, I have to check that. But I got the same here. It shows. Oh yeah, that's another feature. That's okay. Okay, there it shows as well. So it's not only on the source, but it's also on the destination, the skip command. So you could directly do something here, and the skip command would be executed there. So you don't need a new row for that. Makes it a bit easier. The next thing that I just trapped into, I got a setting which says stop on edit. So some people said like, and it happens to me as well. If you go through the settings, it would change the settings already that you browse through. And I got now a setting that means stops on edit. So it would stop the execution automatically of the mapping once I edit the destination. And that is just to avoid that it's just changed loads of values until you get to your, the function you want to use. And then press OK, it will start it again. Okay, let's check the next one. The skip indicators. Okay, I added for some people interesting in the and we use a I2C multi-track for that. And I go to the matrix destinations. Um, so we got now a new thing for the for example, you've got a big box or some other MIDI drums that need a note on and a note off to trigger its drum. So now we have all the possibilities to have like just a note, a trigger, so it would do a note on off, or like the gate function, which was there already. So we have three different functions now. So it will work in all cases now. So before there was one case that you could only either start the drum, but it wouldn't stop, or it wouldn't really trigger. Okay, yeah. Something not really important. The user interface. Where is it? There. You can now import and export your color scheme. So that's also requested. Okay. Another thing. Let's go to the normal track. We got the conditional executes of a row. So many people ask, oh, can I have these conditional triggers like electron boxes have? And I always say, no, we can't, because it needs really loads of memory to keep track of every function here to have a conditional trigger for that. What you could do is to create your own conditional trigger based on the mapping. So this is really deep stuff, but it works. So, for example, this row, it would play it normally now. And if I go to the XMAP settings, that means execute mapping row, then it would also on this row execute mapping row 0. Now mapping row 0, it would execute this one if it wouldn't run at the moment. So, but now we got a new function, the first digit. That means execute row 0, the same thing that happened, and return the condition. So if the condition of this mapping execute was true, then it would execute this row. If it was false, then it would not execute or run this row. So in the mappings, you could do some things again, like a counter, and it would only every fourth time it would return a true, and then the trigger or whatever, or the row would be executed only every fourth time, or even when you want to. So this one would execute the row, and this one would not execute, but just read the current state of this row. And that can be with every row, of course. I will add some examples also in the mapping on the forum, so you can see a nice use case of that. Okay, we have that. State. Got that. And for the metrics, I got also, some more commands here. And let's see where it is. So what we had before, we have XMAP execute maps, and it would one time execute these 4 rows once executed from external stuff. Now we can exclude the next rows from being executed all the time from the mappings. So that means these four rows would never be executed, except for when you execute them from the pattern. And there you could also execute these ones. So you could make a range of a mapping parts that would never be executed. And then we have execute rows after load. So that means when you load a new project or when you load a project, it will execute these rows below, the four rows, only one time after loading. And you can use that to create some presets without the need of a track assign or whatever. So you can change the CV16 settings with that one without even create a CV16 track and so on. And it can include all the settings and what you want to. And it will just be executed one time. Yeah. And there are also use cases for that, and that was also requested by the users. Okay. So and there's a lot of small stuff I added as usual. I think this list is the normal list is, yeah, I think nearly 50 rows long with all small stuff that has been added. Added some new functions to the mapping things, and of course fixes and everything that came up on the way, but mainly the Dualchord implementation. I added also some stuff for the launchpad things. Also for the I2C tracks, the drum metrics can now be muted, just like with the trigger tracks. And you can with the launchpad you can edit all 16 drum metrics columns. Yes, okay. I think it's time to ask questions because then it will finish this stream. So let me know what you want to know about the Dualchord, about the coming firmware, anything else. And there's a little delay here in the chat, but maybe I can see coming up. How I can make pattern changes with like nadir, synths, and start. What's that? And no MIDI tables yet. I'm sorry. I don't know what analog. I don't know what the analog rhythm does. Would be awesome to have interface or a scripted program that not fixed from a normal keyboard or computer. You can do that. So first, with the video expander, you can connect a computer keyboard, PC keyboard, and so all the screens and everything is available directly, and you can program it from there. What I also have is that you could make your own controller as well, because what I added now is no, not in the control, external. So you can use all the you can use the external MIDI and stuff to press the buttons on the NerdSEQ itself. So you can make your own controller if you want to. And then you can add a button to change the edit steps or the mode. So yeah. Okay, you have one pattern. I don't do VIM. Um, you have pattern 1 and 2, 3, 4. If you jump in notes sequencer from pattern and select the rhythm, follow. So audio kidnapping, do you mean? No problem. My English is also not the best. But well, what you can do, if I understand right, if you're in the pattern, you don't want to go out of the sequencer screen to get to another pattern. Wir können auch Deutsch reden. But is that what you mean? You want to do that, but a bit faster? That is delay in the chat. And I got a filter delay. No. Then you ask in German. But just okay, you got the analog rhythm and you can make patterns in there. So 1, 2, 3, 10, 20 are the pattern numbers, I assume. Okay, you want that the NerdSEQ follows the patterns of the analog rhythm, you mean? Yes, exactly. It's MIDI program changes. Okay. So yes, I get what you say. I don't. So the analog rhythm. So one thing would be if it supports SPP commands, then you could do that because SPP is song position pointer. And if the analog rhythm, for example, you would start it on the second pattern, then the NerdSEQ would start on the second row, like the sequencer row, like here. And the same can be even within a row. You can say like the second bar, it should start at the second bar. If the rhythm can do that, then the NerdSEQ can do that. So I hope that answers your question. So you got to check in the menu of the rhythm. So I'm not. Yeah, audio kidnapping. I see the thing. And that's the program change stuff. So I know that about the analog things. The analog, yeah, but the NerdSEQ can do that with the electron stuff. So let's get there. Let's do a MIDI track, and we go to the program change. And I think it's the control change. Oh, I forgot about that. Anyways, so there's a command, and you just look it up on a NerdSEQ. The 16-step solution is not needed. You can do a program change on the NerdSEQ, and it will start the electron one. Let me myself. There are so many functions I don't know anything by myself, but I go to the menu and I go to the MIDI and then I do search for electron, I think. Okay, program change. Yes, okay. So always on change and always pre. So if it's set to always pre, it will work with electron because it will send the program change before the pattern changes. And that works. Or at least it works. Yeah, but that works. This works from the NerdSEQ, works with electron boxes. And I checked it with the Digiton here that I got here, that I hardly use because I don't have the time. But it's reported to work also with others. So the MIDI screen on the track setup, you go to the program change thing, and it's set to always normally, and it just like always pre, and it will work with electron boxes, and it will not be 1 bar too late. And if it's 1 bar too late, let me know. Then I got to change that the time when I send the program change. But it's reported to work well. So yes, okay. Yeah, you only had to search for electron in the NerdSEQ menu, and then you would have been there already. Page 102, if you are interested. Okay, next question. Can you do something like fill and enter a column with random notes from a scale? No, not yet. It's on my to-do list, and you know it would be really easy to make a column filled command and it will fill it. But I want to, as usual, I want to add more features to that than just filling it. And with the NerdSEQ, it's much more. It can be filling with nodes, note offs with in between, and then how many should be there. The scaling is not an issue. If it should be with a trigger or without a trigger and stuff, and I want to make it really flexible. So that's why it's not in there. But it's planned, and it will be in not in the coming update, which is very soon, but after that. Okay, next. Any more questions? I think it's like 30 seconds delay or something. Bitte schön, Paul. Yes, firmware before Christmas, definitely. Because I will start sending out the dual chords and the orders with the dual chords, I think at the end of next week. And you will have the new firmware before it arrives. Thank you for your order, by the way. Okay, any more questions? Mhm. You can also ask all together and not wait for someone. Something about a dual chord as well. Maybe I forgot something. Oh yeah, I can show you some, but still ask stuff. So in the mapping, I got for the dual chord, I got the destination dual, and then on which NSA it's connected, and there the note pitches on off, so you can use it for note playing. Then and all the settings: LFO speed, amplitude, offset, and what you can imagine. All the settings are there also as a destination for the dual chord. Yes. Okay. Anything else? Because else I will close down this live stream. I hope it was fine. It's a bit weird to hear myself with a little bit delay all the time. So it's a bit so the project file will not be opened. But the patterns can be exported, and the sequencer screen can be exported already and they are like people who made scripts of it. So and the mapping the same thing. So there's a web tool on my website. You can access it, and there you can edit all the mappings in, yeah, on your computer. Yes, audio clip mapping. I think I'm finished here, and explains everything. If I not forgot something, and in the next days I will add some more audio stuff of the dual chord, so you can hear a bit more how it sounds. But then in the end, it's a lot, Just see it as like a nice oscillator and chord add-on for your sounds. And I love chords, so yeah, bit one step more away from monophonic Euro rock sequencing. Yes. Okay. Then I think I will stop the session now. By the way, what you see there with the buttons is a second video expander that I manipulated so it shows only the buttons that I press. But you could do something like this, because the button presses is also destination of the mappings, and so you could a source of the mappings, so you could make your own script or whatever with MIDI, for example, which shows the buttons. Anyways, okay, I will stop it now. And thank you very much. Yeah, and the dual chord is right now available in my shop. I will send just the same with the from my web shop. It will go also to the shops at the same time. So I think end of the next week, or it would be definitely next week, but latest end of the next week that I ship them. All right. Have a nice evening. Have a nice day, and talk to you soon. All right. Thanks, and cheers.